let's come back to the word equal.
Okay.
Supposing we have a spot that says men and women are equal, period, end of story. Never get played in dozens of countries, but do we take that risk?
I think it'll get played in Canada, Holland, Denmark, Norway, Finland, and Sweden, and that's it.
No Excuses is a campaign that's designed to stop violence within families. It is dealing with issues of rape, sexual violence, non-sexual violence like physical violence within families, children's rights, the escalation of frustration into abuse, the perceived right of men to abuse their spouses or their partners or their children, stopping rapes in a particular situation within families, stopping rapes in a more general situation within conflict situations.
Yeah, why don't we do that?
Why don't we have a spot that says you can't justify violence?
That we need that. Yeah, I think we've been missing that. I think that's our 10th spot.
There are 10 spots on a boat in the Rita River that 2 billion people are going to see, we hope. Now that's saying something. All right, let's go home. Of course, our first instinct was that, our approach of using humor to tackle some of the most difficult issues in the world perhaps was not the best approach to use when it came to domestic abuse like rape and sexual violence. But, within seconds I dismissed that and I said, yeah, that's exactly why we should do it. Because, who else is going to use humor to tackle rape or sexual abuse except for us? So let's try it.
Firdaus is very respected in our community. He has always taken the high road, and he's always delivered, like every job he's had. He's very well respected. We all are very proud that Firdaus is part of our community.
In Calcutta, my mother headed a national non-governmental organization. I remember, for example, going and meeting Mother Teresa a long time before she was globally famous. I remember walking down a huge room, and there were beds on either end, either side of this massive room, and Mother Teresa was there, and there were people who were dying on these beds. And I came from, fairly well-to-do, not a super rich family, but a fairly well-to-do by Indian standards family. And I saw that all these people were very, very poor. People that I crossed on the street, sometimes literally walked over on the street going to school or whatever, because they were sleeping on the street. And I sort of thought to myself, like everybody did, well, these are very, very poor people. What are they doing in this, in this bed, dying and so on? And what is the role of Mother Teresa? And it's one of the first images I have in my mind is actually meeting Mother Teresa and remembering that from Calcutta. I left India when I was 17. I had finished high school already and then went to Pennsylvania as a Rotary exchange student. And then I came to Canada to go to grad school at the Norman Patterson School of International Affairs at Carleton. At the age of 26, I was appointed Executive Director of the United Nations Association in Canada, a position I held for 5 years. After that, I was appointed by the Cabinet and Minister, Assistant Deputy Chairman of the Immigration Refugee Board. I headed the Backlog Division of the Immigration Refugee Board. And so after that, I decided to start a media company, but a media company with a difference. A media company that drew on my background in international affairs on global issues, and that continued the work, except in a different way.
Your children are not your children. They are the sons and the daughters of life, longing for itself. They come through you, but they are not from you. And though they are with you, they belong not to you. You can give them your love, but not your thoughts. For they have have their own thoughts. They have their own thoughts.
I think the first BCC project that I was involved in was UNICEF's project, which was a Cartoons for Children's Rights, where we took the Convention on the Rights of Children and we animated every single right in it. Many people were involved around the world in doing that, and I think that started my thinking in terms of using animation to make a change, a difference in the world. It's very difficult for me, sitting in Canada, to understand these kinds of issues from around the world, you know, because every country is so different, and there's so many problems in South Africa that deal with this issue of domestic violence, violence within families. So I really very much appreciate your time.
So people are afraid to talk because if they do talk, then the community will look down at them, look down, or say, they've got a problem, they're not good enough. So a woman keeps quiet because of shame. Is that what you're saying? Because they feel ashamed.
If you feel ashamed, you don't want to talk other people. You hate yourself inside. But if you feel free to talk to other people, maybe you need somebody to help you. And I think maybe you talk is better than keep quiet.
But now let me understand, are you saying that 95% of all your friends have been affected by rape? Right?
Wow. At what age are they?
From 15 till 25.
From 15 to 25. That's incredibly high.
Now what you're saying is so important. So if we make a television program which helps women, helps mothers, helps daughters, to feel more confident, to come out to talk, to make sure that they don't feel alone, and to get the whole society and the family to talk. Do you agree that this would be a good thing?
Yes.
Why? Why?
Why?
Because you can't manage to handle your problem alone.
Exactly.
Yes.
So solidarity is the one solution. So we're going to go toy for solidarity. Hey, viva solidarity, viva!
In the case of No Excuses, my intention is clear. I want to go where there is silence. I want to break that silence. I want to have a discussion on issues like the role of women in society, on issues like rape, on issues like sexual violence.
One of my things is that I am so agitated and I just cannot function lately because 5 million people have been killed in the Congo. 5 million since 1998. And we don't hear about it.
Je dirais que le silence tue. Le silence qui est en train d'être gardé sur la situation qui arrive au Congo est en train de tuer. Plus nous gardons le silence, plus la mort continue à ensevelir des femmes et des femmes et des femmes au Congo, des filles et des bébés. Les viols ne s'arrêtent pas seulement aux femmes, mais les viols descendent jusqu'aux bébés. Tout ce que je demanderais, tous les propos ont déjà été dits, je demanderai à ce que le gouvernement canadien ne garde plus silence.
Let me tell you a very quick short story. I was with a woman, I was with a woman a few days ago, and she said to me that when the army came the first time, they took my husband and one of my sons away. And then they raped me in front of my other children. I shouted and shouted, and no one heard me. And then The army came the second time. The militia came the second time, and they raped my daughter in front of me, and then they raped me, and I shouted and shouted, and no one came to our rescue. The third time they came, they mutilated me. They cut my private parts. They put kerosene inside me, and they burnt me. And I did not shout because nobody heard me. I knew nobody was going to hear me. I feel very impotent. I feel, as a woman that has a little bit of access to power, how can this go on in the world?
Alors ici, moi, ce que je voulais savoir, ma question est ceci. Les femmes violées, elles sont violées, elles sont chassées par leur mari, elles sont chassées par leur famille, et puis elles s'enfuient à l'hôpital. À l'hôpital, elles sont soignées. Alors, après être soignées, où est-ce qu'elles vont et où est-ce qu'elles iront? Où?
We are bringing the women to Ottawa. I did this with the Afghan women when the war first started, and the women, Canadian Afghan women, came on the hill. They met with Mr. Chrétien, they met with all the ministers, and it is my belief that once you come to Canada, this is your country, and this is your place of power. You can walk in here and talk to anybody. I want to give that same experience to women from the Congo.
I make media to try and change people's behavior. And for some of you that might already know, in the Congo, I created a series on HIV/AIDS prevention that has been used in the Congo and that has now gone around the world. It is in 44 languages. I have created a series on malaria prevention that is now being used in over half the countries that have malaria around the world. My next project is to try to stop violence against women and children. So I need your help. I am in the designing stage. I want to make sure that I'm right. And so I'm going to be sitting there, and come and get my card from me after this is over if you can help me design this program. We will do it in 73 languages so we can reach about 6 billion people in their own language around the world.
The Three Amigos, which is an HIV/AIDS prevention program, actually came out to South Africa. It wasn't my idea. Somebody in South Africa approached me because I'd already done a short documentary on the HIV/AIDS problem in South Africa in particular. And he had this idea, and from that we created the Three Amigos.
It's a goal! Go, 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 go!
You just can't score without a condom. Stop the spread of AIDS.
It's very, very simple. Abstain, be faithful. But if you're going to get into the dangerous waters, and I suggest you delay this for as long as you can, the dangerous waters of sexuality, having sex, make sure you protect yourself. The Three Amigos concept came about after I looked at all the different campaigns looking at raising awareness of HIV in South Africa. And what was clearly missing was a very single-focused strategy which could achieve one outcome: to destigmatize the condom itself.
There's always an accident waiting to happen somewhere. Always stay in control. Use a condom. Stop the spread of AIDS.
The South African Broadcasting Corporation played the Three Amigos up to 20 times a day for 2 years. The Three Amigos became so famous in South Africa that apparently you can walk into a pharmacy and ask for an amigo, and they know that you're asking for a condom if you ask for an amigo.
你知今時今日嘅男人追求嘅係精神上面嘅戀愛。
Rovescia d'accento. Hai ancora il tempo per cambiare idea.
amigos. Ihr werdet überleben.
I've worked with Firdaus, and he's an amazing guy. His body of work has been seen by billions of people, and he's getting international recognition, including the prestigious Peabody Award. And what is also amazing is the number of people who support him, people like Desmond Tutu.
You know, if there is any perfect human being, if there is any complete person on this world, it's got to be Desmond Tutu. You know, it is one of the great joys of my professional life that I have gotten to know him, that I have been privileged enough to have his support and his advice. And I think the world will lose one of its greatest figures when God calls him away from the earth.
Roger, amigos, you're clear for liftoff. Enjoy the ride.
Yeah, baby, give it all you got. Who's Roger?
10, 9, oh.
Shouldn't something that flies have wings?
8, 7.
Whew, it's getting hot in here.
Roger that.
6.
Will someone tell me who Roger is?
4.
What happened to 5?
3. Yes, 2.
Now I worry.
1.
No condom, no blast off. Stop the spread of AIDS.
I was highlighted on Rush Limbaugh's show by him, and after that, for the next 3 days, I got death threats. This is for creating 3 animated condoms. I got death threats in the United States, from sort of extreme right-wing people after they had listened to Rush Limbaugh describe this project.
No more! Not all gamblers realize the odds stacked against them.
She can't throw us another odd number.
0. Nobody win. I like you boys. You've got, how do you say, big balls.
Don't gamble with your life. Use a condom. Stop the spread of AIDS.
When I first started with the Three Amigos, and I told people, that we're going to create a global campaign using 3 funny animated condoms to stop the spread of HIV/AIDS around the world. We hope 1 billion people are going to see them. Everybody said, no, it can't be done. And I'm meeting the same kind of resistance now in the issues of violence within families. How do you make rape funny? How do you make rape funny on a global basis? I mean, people say it can't be done. It can be done. It can be done. I'm going to do it.
This morning we're meeting Yasmin Al-Muki. She's going to be in Geneva. And Brent Quinn is going to be in South Africa. And we're having a conference call on our new project, No Excuses. We're now finalizing the scripts. And so we're just going to meet and just go over them to see if we can lock them this morning.
Yeah, and it can be done really funnily, I think. Okay, yes, we've been ignoring you for a while. What do you think of the spot?
I think it's brilliant.
Brilliant, okay.
One of my favorite spots.
Okay, great. Jessie?
Me too. I love this one.
Okay, Jessie says she loves this one. Caitlin?
Yeah, I definitely
Done.
think.
Okay, it's locked. No more comments on number 3. Done, yippee.
It starts from creating something with the idea that it's going to be seen by 1 billion people or more. and be used in over 150 countries. So if you start at that basis, then you look for the common denominators in human beings that you can appeal to. If you then take that further, you go through the script writing process, and every single word is carefully analyzed, written very carefully and then carefully analyzed by me and by others to make sure that it can work.
Tremendous impact, and is often what begins the cycle of violence and allows the cycle.
I'm startled because I used to love this spot, and then suddenly when I read the tagline, I thought, well, that's not true. You know, simply put, it's not true. There are religion, tradition, history, and culture allows the use of violence. It just does.
No, it doesn't.
It does.
It does not. Wait, there's no. No. I know.
They say clearly, black on white, that you can hit your wife and that you can dominate her. It's that simple.
I agree with that, but you can't take the books literally.
Whoa, everybody does.
These books were written like 2,000 years ago.
No, Firdaus, that's the problem. The problem in modern society is that religious texts are taken literally.
I think that religion is an important part of this campaign because we are a campaign that encompasses all of the issues and all of the justifications for violence against women. And I think that if we were to ignore that on an international basis, and identifying it as a strong factor, I don't think that this campaign would be as strong.
Wait a minute, hang on a second. This is getting serious now. You want to actually attack the basis of the religious text? Now, that's what you're going to do. You're going to attack the Bible and the Quran.
But isn't this the basis of our campaign?
No. The basis of the campaign is ending violence against women. It is not about...
But it's ending justifications for violence against women. And this is the major one.
Brent, we can't go through that again. You know, there was a lot of stress when we had those death threats. I mean, it's just, it's not pleasant to get death threats, I gotta tell you. It's just not...
So I've got a suggestion.
Yes.
So for the tagline, instead of no religion, tradition, history, or culture allows you to use violence, no religion, tradition, history, or culture is an excuse for violence.
Yes, thank you.
I mean, in a way, I kind of agree with Jesse, in the sense that, look, it is very, very difficult to deal with the issue of violence against women without bringing up the question of religion. So here's what we're going to do, folks. We can't keep going on. So before Christmas break, in the next couple of days, we are going to exchange emails, get those two locked up, and then I'm going to hit the send button before Christmas to Holland. Okay?
الكلمة التالية هي حمار.
How we created the next one, which was Hind and Hamza, which is the behavior change communications in the Middle East, is really interesting, because that came out of a broadcaster in the Middle East that wanted some way of inculcating, of putting in values into young people's minds.
واو، كرة جميلة. إنها مثل كرتك. أتود أن تلعب معي؟ بابا.
These are some of the spots, like this one, for example, is respect the law. We have another one on racism. We have one that we're doing today on child labor. And, you know, if you put it in the context of the Middle East, these kinds of issues are not usually dealt with.
Donkey's reaction here.
Okay.
A bit earlier, then you cut straight away on him is looking on the.
That's a good idea. That's a good idea.
The biggest thing in the Middle East is that young people grow up every day watching violence on their televisions. I mean, every day the news is about who bombed who. And so if we were to make an effort, I think, in media, in creating spots with universal values in behavior change communications, that would have a long-lasting impact, and that's what we did. First of all, thank you for allowing me to speak. I'm particularly pleased to speak here because the Canadian Red Cross was the organization that gave me the initial funds to produce the work on Buzz and Bite, the malaria prevention campaign.
Let's have fun with this one first. Humans, have you ever seen a sillier species?
Feast now.
Oh no, a bed net? Now look what you've done.
Me?
This is what happens when you play with your food.
Don't get malaria. Nets should be used every night by everyone.
The greatest advantage we found with them is that they're educational and they're an icebreaker. They get conversations going, so that we have literally thousands of conversations going on in countries, within living rooms when they come on national television, or when you guys play them when you go to villages.
I was just in Uganda in October 2008, and we traveled to Lugazi, the district of Lugazi, Kasese as well, but particularly in Lugazi, where there was a group of children in a compound, roughly 600 to 700 students from 5 years old to 16 to 17 years. And we brought our rough technology and hooked it up, and it took about 3 hours to get it going, but they all gathered around this very small monitor. And one could hear a pin drop. And it was remarkable in that we delivered that message in Lugandan. They could understand it, and then when they walked away, there was laughter, but there was also seriousness. And then throughout that entire time in the Lugazi district, we heard children speaking about Buzz and Bite, and you have to use the bed net because of Buzz and Bite.
Muno mulimu omusaayi omupya.
Ono alinga akwegayirira okumukwasa obulwadde.
Nedda omusaayi nga gukawa bulala. Ha! Nawo omukazi ow'olubuto enjala ennuma.
Njagala nnyo obusimu bw'omubiri nga butabuse. Sifaayo kulwaza ono.
Ono yakula n'awola.
Abantu b'okulwaza bangi n'obudde tebumala.
Abantu bonna nga tososodde nti musajja oba mukazi, bukulu bwe, kikula kye oba embeera y'ebyenfuna basobola okufuna malaria.
Most of the funding has always come from me. It is the biggest problem I have. In the case of the Buzz and Bite malaria program, we had a small fund from the Canadian Red Cross and a slightly bigger fund from the International Federation of Red Cross to get us started. But of course, that was long spent. It just paid for a part, the hard costs of the creation of them.
You know, and I was really touched the other day when I was speaking to him, and he said, you know, I got a letter from the government of Mali that they wanted 350 tapes or something on Buzz and Bite. And he said, I didn't have $1,000. So I sent them half. I paid the money myself, but I only had $500 to spare that month. And I thought, wow, that hit me home, how tight a budget he has.
I recently came back from Madagascar, where we put the Buzz and Bite program into 15 languages of Madagascar. All 15 languages. It's the first time that any media has ever been put into all 15 languages of Madagascar.
Well, malaria is one of the biggest killers of children under 5 in Madagascar, and also it affects pregnant women in a major way. In about 60% of the country is malaria endemic, and there's a great problem in terms of people's knowledge of prevention and also people's utilization of the nets. So Buzz and Bite was a project that we thought would be an excellent tool to create a buzz around malaria prevention and utilization of the nets.
Good.
We did some sort of pre-testing with the first version, the Malagasy version of the spots, and we found that the animated form of this communication is really engaging adults into the actual message. It's unique, it's innovative, it's exciting, it has an element of surprise, and I think it's a very well produced in terms of very concise and simple. And I think it has all the elements of effective communication.
Good. People are laughing, I like it. Always take it when people are laughing. All right, ready? Go. All right, that's the way to do it.
Foundations and NGOs and governments like to have things that are quantifiable and they're very small projects. So when you're talking about trying to stop rape on a global basis, it is extremely difficult for a bureaucrat to get their heads around that kind of concept, because they want, they say, okay, show us it works. It's entirely reasonable. I don't blame them for it. It's entirely reasonable, but you can't do a baseline study on men's behavior towards rape and go around the world saying, well, do you rape your wife? And expect somebody to say yes or no, and then say, okay, now we're going to show you the spot. Now you're going to rape your wife, and then ask them with the same question, yes or no.
Today we're doing the first recording session for No Excuses. This is the English master. We will then send this to Holland, where the animation will be created based on these voices. Right now we're having a bit of technical difficulty. Firdaus is in the Middle East and he's trying to call in, but as soon as we get the connection, he will direct via Skype, and we'll get this going. This is the first day of production, so it's pretty exciting.
This is obviously the most important part of these spots, because what we're trying to do is bring the audience to you. Tagline. So don't do too much, just give it straight on, don't act, just as if you were talking, but very persuasive. That's basically what you're trying to do.
Mothers, do not use violence against your children. You do not have a right to commit violence against women.
That's good. Hang on. Play that one, please, Greg.
A uniform does not give you a license to rape.
This thing again?
Never rape.
I think
that's fine. That's perfect. Let's go to the next one.
Are you feeling all right, Father?
Go, Andrew. No.
Are you feeling all right, Father?
And then this one just really quizzical, like totally confused. Are you feeling all right, Father?
Like more questioning.
Yeah, totally confused.
Are you feeling all right, Father? Are you feeling all right, Father?
That one's good.
I like
that
that
one's
hesitation.
good.
Take
yeah.
that one. Take that one. That's it.
What we'll do is we'll use this as the standard in which we can record all the other languages. So when we record, say, Swahili, what we do is we let them hear the English so that they can sense the timing, the tone, and the inflection, and then we'll have them match that so that we can try as best we can to have all of the languages exactly matched.
At the UN, I've been told that they can't think of any other media that has a potential global audience of 80% of the world's population, or over 5 billion people. Nobody can think of anything that's been adapted into 43 languages. And so if we do 73 languages in the violence campaign, it'll be by far the most multilingual piece of communications in the world.
You are not bringing them up right.
That's better.
You stay out of this. Bend.
Bend. Angry.
Okay.
Bend.
Right.
Go.
Bend.
I like that.
Good. That's great. Keep it. Put the two together, please.
You lucky.
Yep.
Your wife loves your banana. You lucky. Your wife loves your banana.
So really quickly, frantic. Go.
Religion. My religion commands me to dominate my wife. My religion commands me to dominate my wife.
Good. That's fine. Take it.
Okay. The first thing is, I think it's great that it's being done. The second thing is, it's sad that it has to be done. That it has to say things like, rape is a crime, do not rape. If that needs to be said, then all the more reason that this needs to be done.
Tradition demands I treat my family that way. Tradition demands I treat my family that way. Tradition.
Okay, last. Wait. Stop. Break. Last one, please.
Okay.
So we came up with these, kind of bluish characters. At first, my idea was no clothes. Then, of course, everybody said, well, they look like nude animated characters, so we said, okay, we're going to have clothes. Now, well, what kind of clothes are they going to wear? And this has been a very difficult issue. So I did a lot of research and kind of kept thinking about what kind of clothing does everybody wear? We've had animation professionals working on it in Holland originally. They just got kind of overwhelmed with work that they're doing. And so I moved it to an animation studio now in South Africa that's volunteering to complete the work that had been begun in Holland. I'm just going to show you some work that I'm doing, and I'm going to just show it to you in English, but I'm collecting information now and trying to do this work to stop this kind of violence. And we will put it into many languages, including Bangla.
What do you say in your defense?
My culture insists I beat my children. Religion! My religion commands me to dominate my wife. Tradition demands I treat my family that way.
Have you read any of these books?
Me? Well, no. Not yet.
Guilty!
No culture, religion, or tradition is an excuse for you to use violence.
They comment without any knowledge.
On your religion.
Religion, culture.
Yeah.
I think in our native language it will be a very popular, some promos in our country.
Some of them
in our country very popular.
Yeah.
And we also use these promos with we do various film society activities in in some other places. We go there and we show some films for free people. So if we try these promos beginning and end of the film, then it will be very popular and it will be workable.
Before we get there, this right 15 minutes ago from Andrew.
Okay.
You know what it is?
No.
The first music and the first sound effects on No Excuses.
Cool.
15 minutes ago.
So you haven't heard it either?
No. This is for tonight's, this afternoon's speech.
Do you promise to beat your wife and abuse her in sickness and in health? I do.
Excuse me?
And do you promise to love and cherish your husband whenever he abuses you?
She agrees.
You may beat the bride.
Enjoy your honeymoon.
Marriage or partnership does not give you a license to abuse.
Just do that again. Beat the bride. That's good. I like that. But I don't like this total silence after that. We need to have something underlying.
Enjoy your honeymoon.
Marriage or partnership does not give you a license to abuse.
And the crowd sounds like there are a bit too many people.
Yeah.
Sounds like a huge crowd, but you only see like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 people. So Okay, so we just had to move from the basement of an apartment building, and I think this symbolizes, and you know, why we had to change also from Holland to South Africa. All these problems, they cause because we don't have any money. If we ever had any money, and we actually sat down in an office instead of doing this on like wherever we can, you know, with whomever we can. I think, you know, if we had money, we could have done this project in 6 months. We've been at it for more than 2 years because you have to grab people when they can. Grab time here, grab time there, and that's basically the problem. And that's what happened with 3 Amigos too. So.
Time to learn a lesson. Ouch! Who are you?
I'm your conscience.
You stay
That's
out
right.
of
Conscious, definitely. Yeah. The sting seems to go beyond 30 seconds.
Yeah, well, just as a general comment, these are really, really tight end to end, and I would suggest, if I were in charge, I would give yourself another half second either end, just so that if things get tight, like in languages for some of the the endings, you're gonna have. I think I'd be surprised if we don't have problems.
Yeah. Well, let's see. Yeah. I mean, Finnish is like. Finnish is such a long language. Okay.
They don't have abuse in Finland, do they?
No. Nothing ever happens in Finland. Period.
So I've been very happy to do the music for 3 Amigos, Buzz and Bite, and now for No Excuses, because these are all issues that affect so many people in the world. And with No Excuses, we're calling people who are responsible for very poor behavior towards women we're calling them to task on it. And it's a very worthwhile cause. And I'm very glad to be contributing.
3 things I think we need to go over. Where we're at in terms of languages, where we're at in terms of launch, where we're at in terms of DVDs and getting websites and everything ready by the launch, and actually seeing the videos. So since you haven't seen the videos, why don't we start with that? Right?
Right.
Videos. Okay.
Do you have them downloaded?
And you cannot, you can criticize all you want now. However, there's not much point in telling me what's wrong because the video is currently on its way on a hard drive from South Africa to Canada.
Before I lay the soul of this man to rest, let me say a few words in his honor, since we cannot speak badly of the dead. At first, he did not treat women badly. Later, he sexually abused them. No one will miss this bully, not even me. In fact, now that he's gone, the family's having a big party, and I'm already late. You do not engage in sexual abuse.
It's huge.
You like it?
Yeah.
That one was the most difficult one to create. It's the one we did last.
It looks
We
great.
finished it on Friday.
It looks great.
Okay, I want to just go over languages because there is a bit of confusion about where we are on languages. Russian was done. Korean
Is being done.
is being done. English, India, Spanish, Mexico, and Spanish, Peru. That'll give us 25 languages.
But that's
But
11 languages done already.
11 languages done already. And now, did you count?
That's great, yeah, I did.
11 languages done. Okay. So, but by the end of this week, you know, we'll have another, maybe 6 more at least. So, at the minimum, we should launch at the UN with 15, 17 languages, at the minimum. And we're launching it 2.5 years, little over 2.5 years after we first had the idea. This is the first time that I'm aware of that animation and humor, particularly humor, has been used to prevent serious issues like rape and sexual abuse. And it is definitely the first time
that the issue of justification of the use of violence and abuse have been addressed, including the use of culture, religion, and tradition. It is freely distributed, it is multilingual, it has a global reach across cultures and across boundaries, and it is obviously tackling the most difficult issues. Essentially, we are shining a light where there is darkness. As you know, domestic violence and abuse are insidious problems that reach into every corner of every country. These animated spots will create behavior change in millions of households around the world by directly targeting the abuser and by being a catalyst for conversations that happen within families. So essentially, you might think, for example, that a man and a woman, a husband and wife, are watching television. The man is abusing their child. This spot comes on. It is in their own language. They can identify with it. The spot comes on and it says, "Men, don't hit your children." Well, it's not just talking to the abuser. It's also empowering the woman in that example, because she now has a way of bringing up the fact that her husband is abusing their child, and so it empowers it. The spot acts as a catalyst.
Goal! 3-0 to the visitors.
Foul him!
Penalty against the home team.
Referee, are you insane?
Huh?
Huh? Do not let your frustration escalate into abuse.
I don't normally distribute these ourselves. We launch them, we get media attention and so on, and then people write in. What I don't want to do is I never want to go to these countries and impose and say, okay, here's what we've done, you know, you should take it, you should play it, you should do whatever. I want NGOs and so on to hear about it and then request the material and then incorporate it into whatever work that they're doing. Same with government, same with universities, same with whatever. What I essentially do is create tools for people who work on the front line, but I'm not a frontline worker myself.
I wish I was really wealthy, but then I would say, Firdaus, go lock yourself in the room and think of these ideas. Don't worry about fundraising, because he can really help us change people's ideas.
And if I can quantify that and say pointedly, one malaria infection, you know, was prevented, one HIV/AIDS prevention, one rape has been prevented, that's enough. That's absolutely enough for me. Absolutely enough. I have never been, even though we produce mass communications and we try and get them around the world, I have never been concerned about saving more than one life.
What really struck me when I met Firdaus first was that he was a lone voice creating animations in hundreds of languages, reaching 1 billion people across the developing world. I think one of the great opportunities is to take that expertise he's developed over a decade and a half and use it to train millions of healthcare workers across hundreds of geographies and languages to reach millions of mothers and children in the developing world. I think that is one of the great opportunities there exists today in global health.